Hey guys, Mr. Murray here. Been talking about scientific notation in class, and just hopefully we're starting to make sense of this now, and we have that understanding that when we talk about scientific notation, we're talking about a way to write really large or really small numbers in the form where we take a number, A, and we multiply it by a power of 10, and A has to be greater than or equal to 1 and less than 10. Okay, so I put an example up here of when we're working with a positive scientific notation or a positive exponent, large number, talking about the speed of light. How fast does the light from the sun travel to get to the earth? Well, light travels at about 185,000 miles per second. I can take that number and rewrite it in scientific notation, moving my decimal point from the end of the number to put it between the 1 and the 8. And that gives me that number that A that I need that's greater than 1 and smaller than 10, 1.85 times 10 to the fifth power. Fifth power because I moved my decimal point 5 places. We can also do this working with a really small number, like something we might be looking at an electron microscope with. So I could say, let's say that I have the number 0.000032, and I want to write this in scientific notation. Well, I'm going to take my decimal point. I need to come up with that number that's greater than 1, smaller than 10. The way I'm going to do that, I'm going to move my decimal point in between the 3 and the 2. So I get 3.2 times a power of 10, and I moved my decimal point backwards 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places. So it'd be a negative fifth power. All right, so that's just a quick review of scientific notation, what it is, how we use it. But one thing we haven't really talked about yet is what if I see the number, I'm reading through a science book, I'm reading through a textbook, I'm reading through the newspaper, and I see a number that's written in scientific notation, and I want to get an idea of what that number is. Well, it's pretty easy. All right, so let's say, for example, that you're reading an article about the solar system. And you read in that article that the Earth is 9.3 times 10 to the 7th power miles from the sun. And you're saying to yourself, what is 9.3 or 9 3/10 times 10 to the 7th? Well, we have to undo what we did to get it into scientific notation. In other words, we're going to take that decimal point that's after the 9 and we're going to move it back to where it was 7 places. So if I start with that 9.3 here, and I move that decimal point 7 places, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 decimal points out here now. Every one of these, I have to put a 0 in there to hold that place. So this decimal point's gone here. Now, I look at this, and I separate each of these with a comma, and I can see that 9.3 times 10 to the 7th is the same as 93 million. All right? Works when we're talking about very small numbers as well. For example, we're talking about the diameter of, maybe a cell or something, and we're reading in a science book or something again, and we get down to something that looks like this, and I'm just making these up, so please don't take and I want to know, well, what is this in scientific? Well, we know I messed up here a little bit, need to take a step back. Writing this in scientific notation, we would take that decimal point and we'd move it clear down here. And we'd say, well, that's 9.2 times 10 to some negative power because we moved the decimal point, that way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's 9.2 times 10 to the negative 10th. Now, let's say we have a number we want to go the other way, though. Let's say we have 7.4, and I'm just making these numbers up again, times 10 to the negative 3rd power, and I want to know what that number is going to equal. Well, once again, okay, we have to undo what we just did here. So in other words, we've got to take that decimal point back. So we're actually going to take the decimal point this way. And how many places are we going to take it? We're going to take it 3 places. So what I end up with is taking it back 1, 2, 3. Now my decimal point's out here. All right. So I can put a 0 there to hold it. And then I put my decimal point. and I have 2 zeros, 0, 0, 7, because there's the 3 places I move the decimal point, and I put my 4. So 7.4 times 10 to the negative third is the same as 74 10,000ths. All right. So guys, that's kind of scientific notation in a nutshell. It is something we'll see, and we do use, and you'll see it in your science books and on. And so if you have any questions, you know where I'm at.